Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you guys is a video on New World, and this is something quite interesting that some players might know, other players might not, but the reason I want to cover it is because it does impact the Mutations gameplay a fairly decent amount, and on top of that it also affects the way that you will upgrade your gear going forward from those mutations with the umbral shards that you receive as a reward for completing them. Because if you can read the title of this, it is a question asked on the New World forum saying, can you receive critical damage in PvE? So a user named Shay here has added Luxandra, who is a community manager, and said, I've been looking for sources and even asked some customer support, and we couldn't find a specific answer to the following question. Can you receive critical damage in PvE? Make from the customer support advised me to open a thread on the forums to get a more detailed answer. So essentially, can mobs, or bosses for that matter, critical strike against players? And in other words, is Resilient, the perk on armor, useful in PvE situations, or does it make it basically redundant in these situations? Well, we actually got a response from Luxandra, as you can see here, and Luxandra has posted here, they are the community manager for New World. Mobs and bosses cannot crit players. Now that in itself is something quite important that a lot of people may have not known, and some people may have wondered about, and obviously now is confirmed, and other players may have already known. But for those of you that didn't or haven't done anything about it, this video is going to touch on the armor sets that you should be using inside Mutations and PvE as a result of this comment. So jumping into the game then, you guys will be able to see here I have pre-upgraded 2 pieces of Void Bent, both a helmet to level 610 and a Void Bent chestplate to gear score 611. Now, the reason for doing these is because, of course, you guys will be able to see that it does have the Resilient perk on. Now, you will notice that this is a 4.9 on both the chestplate and the helmet, as opposed to the regular 4.8, which you have at 600, which this is crafted at, and that is because I have the increase there of 610 or above. You will also see that the Invigorated has an extra point on there as well, so it's 7.6 as opposed to the 7.5 that is regular, so that is part of the gear score scaling system. Now, big interest here then, because obviously if you were to use this for PvE, you would not be getting any of the results from Resilient. Now, that isn't to say that this is useless armor, because as a lot of you will know about Void Bent, the elemental resistance is very, very high, which is basically what makes this a really good choice, especially for those mutated elemental mutation dungeons. You know, your Void, your Nature, your Fire, or your Ice will all have a less damaging effect versus elemental high resistances, which is why a couple of pieces for Void Bent, if you are in medium like myself, or in heavy, can be beneficial. That being said, if you want to maximize your set to the huge potential that it could be, you probably want to choose a different piece, and the reason for that is because the Resilient is pretty much non and void, very redundant in this situation, as you cannot be critted by mobs or by the bosses, which is something that a lot of players wondered whether that would be different to the regular mobs and vice versa, and so that has now been clarified that we cannot get that to be the case. So, of course, the luck is neither here nor there. Some people will want it, others will not be as bothered. The Invigorated, however, is very, very good, but the Resilient, if you're not going to use it for PvP, if you use it for PvE only, then it isn't the best choice. Now, looking at something down here where we've got things like Freedom, and then I've got Insatiable Gravity Well, this is something that I've used in both PvP and PvE, and Insatiable Gravity Well is actually really good because it gives you health back once you do damage with your Gravity Well for 50% of that damage to the player, which is nice for some sustain in these dungeons, on particularly these higher level mutated expeditions. And of course, really, this is my PvP set that I've got equipped right now. As you can see, the gear scores are all pretty much base 600, but even so, they are really kind of focused around having a good perk and a weapon perk with them. You'll see on the boots, we've got Refreshing, Leeching Path of Destiny, and on the legs there, we have Enfeebling Maelstrom and Invigorated. So that is probably where I would sit at. Obviously, with that, you do get a third perk for free, so if you want to double these up and use them for both the Mutations or any PvE experience and PvP, and you're going to use Void Bent, then of course having that extra Resilient on there for when you switch to PvE is really good, and on top of the Invigorated, it's an excellent combination. But if you are looking to fine-tune a specific PvE set, you probably want to lean towards a different legendary or better epic item if you're just looking for the 2 perks there and get something which is going to be more beneficial, seen as a resilient doesn't work there. Some alternatives to the Void Bent, particularly looking at the heavy selection then, could be your Dryad gear, as this does give you Constitution as a base stat. However, as you will see here, depending upon your level, you will get this further up or further down, and it does require sticky vines as part of the accomplishment of creating this piece. With this, however, you will not be able to see your first and second slots for perks that you might get, but obviously you will still be able to get your gem slots. However, what is now probably the better option is to take something like a fur-lined orichalcum breastplate, which would be, again, heavy, and have this done with, let's say, for example, a timeless shard. So, for example, the fur-lined orichalcum graves are here. These, again, heavy. With a timeless shard, you can pick, this one is the focus one, this one is the intelligence one, this one is the dexterity one, examples. So, for example, if you wanted Constitution, you'd pick out the one with the Iron Guardsman's insignias on, and then you'd be able to choose one of the perks that you would like on that as well. Obviously, then when you put in 45 Azoth, you have a high chance at a second perk and a gem slot, and if you do manage to roll a 600 legendary, you will get 3 slots, so you can still pick something with Constitution now, which is different to the start of the game where Void Bent was the only clear-cut way to get a 600 with Constitution. Now you can get a 595 plus with maximum trophies and levels, and of course your full set of armoring or weaponsmithing or whatever it is, armor on, and the jewelry as well. And the food, you'll be able to get 595 to 600 alongside the buff there. And that means that you can get a good chance at getting a max item or indeed a legendary 600 with the correct stat and at least 1 perk on that you would like. So if you would like to choose an alternative to the Void Bent, particularly for PvE, seen as resilient isn't that great, then that could be a really good option for you. However, if you want to cross them over, or you do want to start building a PvP set and you maybe haven't got specifically into the gear of that yet, you're working on your mutation set first, Void Bent, if you are going to be using some heavy pieces for those pieces, or indeed the other iterations, the light and the medium versions of Void Bent, could be really, really good for this, as you do already have that invigorated and that resilient perk on there alongside luck, which is decent to have. Not great for PvP again, but it's decent. And of course, the respective stat for the medium and the light, of course, as well, which can be really important, which is dexterity and of course intelligence there. So you could pick and choose those if you did want to have a specific thing and guarantee yourself 2 of those good perks. But of course, with the timeless shards, this is less important. Now, I just wanted to bring you guys an update on that because I do know that it's something a lot of players may have already known, others may not have known it at all, and some people may have been on the fence wondering whether it's just regular mobs, just bosses, if it's a feature or not at all. Some people I know personally from my company were running resilient in the dungeons to receive less crit damage because they thought it could happen still. They weren't 100% sure, they were 90% sure it didn't, so it's just like 1 or 2 pieces, but it was there nonetheless. So this video should hopefully help to clear things up. It confirms officially from the New World team that bosses and mobs do not crit. They cannot crit the player, so therefore you don't need resilient on your armor pieces, which should be good if you are trying to build a mutation set. Steer away from that. So that is going to be it for today's quick little update video, just bringing you guys the latest and greatest on that one. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments box down below today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure that you are dropping a subscription down below. It is absolutely free, and you can always unsubscribe at any point afterwards should you wish to do so. And of course, do drop me a like on today's video if you found the video useful. Other than that, guys, that is going to be it for today, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time, and I will catch you again tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care, guys, and peace.